Okay, so I want to let you in on a secret. I'm a spiritual leader. I know, right? I just found out yesterday. I've been cloaking my journaling process under the idea of science, something that is tangible, something that is yang and understandable. And I realize now that all along I've been into self-development, and all of that self-development has brought me to spiritual development. The clairs, ESP, metaphysical, chakras, energy, quantum science too. So this video is about me. This video is about MaLee Muse becoming a spiritual leader. My husband calls me sometimes MaLee Muse, Madam of Metaphysical Matters. So I don't know, he called me that a long time ago, like a year ago. And I see that it's kind of coming true, that I have like a book of spells, basically a black book of spells, of charms of my life, of my experience, of my self-reflections, and I've decided that I'm going to start doing book reports. Well, I shouldn't say that I've decided. I'm experimenting and practicing. I did that yesterday with the private ride-along group. We've kind of extended our relationship and our collaboration for the whole process of the moon, and they have inspired me to step forward and really put my face out there and my personal feeling and experience out there, which is something that I've been wanting to do, but was hesitant for whatever reason. It just wasn't time. And now's the time. So this is going to be my book report on my MaLee Muse Quantum Memoir page. Refine my signature. Here we go. So basically in the center is the purpose. This is the center of everything that you're working through on your page, whether it's the month, a project, a lesson, something that you want to understand or understand. It's the cause of everything. So my purpose is MaLee Muse. I am the purpose to know myself, right? I'm an expert on that topic. My intention is to refine my signature. So I recognize that there's going to be certain observations about who I've been and who I am, and there's going to be a direction of where I want to go. And I want to kind of like take those things as like a program, right? As a recipe to make a refined MaLee Muse. So that's what we're going to go through. So my intention is to refine my signature, that essence of me. And then we're going to move on to observe the next internal sphere. For that, it was my narrative of recognizing that I need to be something to other people. Kind of like this solar plexus quote that I put on here. You don't need to be accepted by others, you need to accept yourself. So my narrative was that I was looking for other people to accept me, to think that I was a good girl. And I'm using the word, wow, see, there's a thing going on right there. Pay attention to that. That's an observation. I felt like I needed to be a good girl for people, and good girl is a trigger for me. It's a childhood trigger. We don't need to go into that, but basically I'm setting unreasonable expectations on myself. I'm preventing myself from moving forward because I think things have to be perfect and in a certain way. So I'm basically stifling my own growth, and that we would be very defensive if somebody was disapproving of me because I want to be the good girl. Don't tell me that I'm not the good girl. So it was a theme that I've been observing, in reference to who am I. And through the full moon, it was something that I really feel like has been released, a lot of it. So obviously time will tell, but it's something that I've been exploring over the last week that I've been working on this page. And then we come to the connect sphere. It's at the top of the inner spheres. And this one I usually connect to other people when I'm doing my memoir on a regular process. But this time, since the page is about me, I wanted to connect with myself. And this naptation was something that I came up that has empowered myself to realize that I don't have to do, I don't have to meditate like other people meditate, like by the book. I don't have to do anything by the book. I can do everything by MaLee's book. The book report, right? Okay, so anyways, connect. Not a whole lot to say there. And the major exploration of this page is actually where I started. And if you look back, you can see that I did a memoir page called Leader. It has to do with my numerology. I'm very heavy with number 1. My life path is a number 1, my expression is a number 1, and my soul urge is 11, which are 2 1s. I've been diving into numerology for over a year now, and I kind of understand what this message is telling me. It is that I am a leader, and if I really look into it with all of the other things that I have going on, it is that I'm a spiritual leader, and that, let's say, hurts me is what I was going to say, or harms me. That is very causes something in me that I'm not quite comfortable with yet. And it's not because I don't want to be a spiritual leader. I do. I love that idea. It's more that I have personal triggers of, let's see, when I was taking a shower, I came up with the idea that there's this thing that I don't know how to articulate, and it's the colonialization of religion. That's what I have a problem with. It's not necessarily God, but because they've claimed God. Colonialization of religion is like this deep recording, being replayed in me that I clam up. I want to move away from. So this page has been basically empowering me to still come to this realization and stop trying to fight the obvious, because all of my signs, all of my life, and especially the last 2 years, are pointing towards that direction, that I am a leader in a way that will affect people's hearts and souls. It's spiritual. I used to think it was self-development, but I recognize now that you can't have one without the other. They're the same thing. I notice that my voice is getting kind of scratchy right now. Something's going on there, which I guess will bring me to the express sphere. This one I had finished actually later in the process of doing the book. And it says face and voice. So what I had come to is that I needed to put my face and my voice to my practice so that others can see the feeling. And you'll see that in the other video that I'm going to weave into this. They can see the feeling of all of these self-reflections and observations that I come to. So that was part of my express. But before I did the express sphere, I had that trigger. It was between the numerology and one of my friends, it'll mention in the other video, about God. And after her and I had a conversation about, whatever that might be, whatever's going on in me, I came across a channeler, and he uses the word quite frequently. And I would never have been able to listen to him before because I cringe. And through the conversation that I had with Candy, it kind of softened it to the point where, okay, I'll listen to him. And holy shit, I've learned a lot of amazing stuff since I've been listening to him. And I've been softening that physical reaction I have to the colonialization of religion. Right? That's what we're going to call it. So then there's this whole fire thing, this whole wood thing that I got some wood from some neighbors. That'll be in the other video. I'm just going to leave it there. So I think where I had started with this page was that I had come across the numerology 2 from our ride-along. So that was the High Priestess. So I had some notes here about balancing the number 2, the High Priestess, being a guardian of the subconscious, that I'm at the edge of the conscious mind, traveling between these two realms. And I recognize it to be very clear right now that that's what's happening. And I wonder what I'm going to end up putting in the sphere, because that one is not done. So I'm really excited and curious as to what will actually go in there. And with refine, I don't know exactly what I came across, but it might have been, I don't know if this was before Candy had done it. No, this was after Candy. Candy had left me a comment, and I brought it up before about, and she used the word Lord like, I don't know, 1,000 times or something. And I was like, trying to understand her message while I was being triggered with this word. I realized that the whole message was that I need to understand this trigger of this word, God. So right after that happened, I came across this Chiron channeler, and he's so evangelistic sounding. He's so that guy that I would never have been able to listen to before, because it's painful to me, even though he's not saying anything mean or bad. It cringe every time I hear it. The word of God. That's an interesting statement. The word of God. The word God. So I've been exploring this theme through this full moon of God, and it just keeps coming so clear to me. So I know that in some way I'm a spiritual leader. I'm a leader. And I know that this is like, to know myself is to recognize that this is my path. This is my purpose. I'm trying to remove the sting of why that's happening in that way. I had that whole thing with those people. I don't know if you can see, their fire pit is over there somewhere. The Jehovah Witnesses left the fire, and it was just like this divine way that they never brought up they were Jehovah Witnesses. It was never in the conversation that I had with them last Friday, but they left that business card. Our neighbors left wood. I guess it didn't fit in their vehicle. So we feel very abundant. You dropped that little thing that he was putting there. Religious thing? Bible verse. Ah, yeah. So when they were packing up, I noticed that he was putting that wood aside, and I saw that he was putting, like, delicately putting something on the pile of wood, and it was this. Look at this quote. Happy are those conscious of their spiritual need. Matthew 5:3. And it seemed really significant, especially because the quote was on it was significant. I put that down here because I let go of some major fears this full moon. Like I feel so much lighter. I feel heavy right now. But I feel so much lighter. There was a frog on the rocks. Can you find him? Right here. No, I meant on the video. Bye, guy. You're getting warm? The fire? Excellent.
That was crazy.
Scared you?
Because I just saw, like, I stepped over and reached for, like, he must have been, he was camouflaged, like.
Yeah.
Completely.
Maybe he wanted a kiss. The body sphere. So through something that we addressed in our ride-along, I recognized, the manifest. So for the manifest, I wanted to be optimistic, and I used mystic, M-Y, instead of M-I, because I want to be mystical. I'm ready to absorb the symbols of myth and the intangible, metaphysical things of life. The things that I still, although I'm a Scorpio and they're in the undercurrent of me, I haven't let them I haven't allowed myself to remove the rules enough so that those things could come to surface. So I put in my body sphere as part of to refine my signature, to start incorporating and accepting those types of things. Specifically, I know that Melissa, she said that instead of looking at myself as an empath, that I consider myself as a clairsentience. And I'm like, of course, like I intellectually know that this is this thing, but I'm searching for these clairs, but I'm not allowing them to be mine. So I put them in my body sphere so that I recognize that I am mystical. I am magical. I am sensitive to these subtle energies of existence, metaphysical abilities. So I recognize that I want to start practicing and playing with those more on a daily basis. This is not at all how I thought it was going to go. I thought I was going to be so much more poised and explaining this thoroughly, and I definitely feel like I'm choking back emotions and sensitivity because I'm what's the word? I'm self-conscious of showing that, but it's not necessarily true, and this is where that confusion comes, because I don't mind sharing my personal stuff. I don't mind being sensitive, but evidently I do also, because I'm getting emotional. I guess that it's not necessarily that that's a problem, and that's what I probably need to start looking at it as, that just because I'm emotional doesn't mean that there's something wrong. That is actually power. That's what I do with that energy and that power. So this is kind of my book report. This is not how I think that I'll end up doing them in the future, but this is for you guys. My Lilith Black Moon is in Aries, and I recognize that I have a morbid curiosity. I have a lot of Scorpio in my chart, so I have this, like, I love toiling in my shit. I like trying to figure out why something has happened so that I can get past it. Like, it is a hobby of mine, and I think a lot of people think that if you talk about these things, you're just condoning it. You're just like, you're continuing to bring energy to it. And so what I've found over the last year and a half doing this is that, well, I should say I found that over my whole life period, I tried not doing that before, but I would still get triggered. Things would, that I thought I had dealt with through therapy or just, distance of time, they would still come up. Like, it didn't go away just because I didn't focus on it. So over the last year and a half, I've actually been literally saying, there's the wound, and I am digging in it to clear it out. And I know that I've done this since my 20s. Like, I've heard conversations about this. So I recognize that my way of being a spiritual leader, of being a leader, of being somebody that shows their life as an example through the practice of the quantum memoir, is that I know how to play in the dirt. I know the shadow, and I know it hurts, but I know how to not stay there. I know how to just look at it objectively and release it and let go of it. And that's what this whole quantum memoir experience has done for me. And through the ride along that I just did, I realized that it's effective for other people as well. It's just a matter of the person needing and having and wanting the desire to make a change. If you want to make a change, this will work. But you have to be disciplined, just like with anything else. If you want results, you have to be disciplined. So my discipline was in morbid curiosity. I want to go there. I want to experience it. I want to learn from it and evolve. So I tried addressing the Lilith, the Black Moon, last year, but it just didn't stick. I didn't understand it. But this time I totally see where in my astrology, from when I was born, that I'm in Aries, Lilith in Aries, and the effect that unworthiness has had on me, which perfectly plays into this Know Thyself page, because I see it as the thing that is holding me back from feeling successful, which is really worthy. Am I worthy? And I see that I am worthy. I feel that I am worthy. So that's only because I poked and prodded and said, this doesn't feel comfortable. Why does this keep reoccurring? It's because I kept going into the shadow to figure this out, to clean out the closet and to be able to move on. So this Know Thyself page is really a bookend to like a part of my life. I feel like it, actually, obviously, because I had a dream. This dream was wild. I was observing me and another me on top of a building. And from the two people that were on top of the building, the me's, one of them pushed the other one off the building. And both of them, nobody was shocked. Both of them was okay. And like, I was, the observer me was, like, yeah, of course. The one falling was like, thanks, yeah, of course. Like, it all felt so divine and right and appropriate. And the next day when I was writing the dream down, I had come across something, and I was listening to a self-cervix lecture, like an online live thing, and she mentioned la petite mort, the little death, and I was like, that was my dream. That's what I had, was the little death. So I wrote that. I drew that in my sphere. So that is to remind me that this full moon energy that I experienced during my Know Thyself page, like, I let go of something. I surrendered something. Like, I had a little death to a part of me that was holding me down and back. Oh, of course. So in the other video, I mentioned my tarot. And I was excited to find out what I was going to end up putting there. And I found this great article about the High Priestess. And now I see how that, how that completely relates to the leader, how it relates to the spiritual leader, the person down in the shadows, from Lilith, from the Scorpio, like all the astrology that I have in my chart, that kind of unconscious, subconscious psyche that is hanging out in the background fucking things up. So I see the High Priestess. I see that in myself. So I'm really glad that got exposed in the beginning and then really has been clarified in the end with this website and a topic that was in my private group about vulnerability. The Quantum Memoir draws energy from your higher self. We kind of thought it was clever because, it's drawing, that it really is whatever you're not listening to in the background of your mind will come forward, and you'll see it very clearly. And then you won't be able to not address it. So that is my book report. My in conclusion is I am really glad that I made this video, and I'm really glad that I made the video yesterday, because there's definitely a difference in the energy and the feeling and the experience, and I could see how doing more of these in the future would be helpful for myself, and knowing the emotional vulnerability in the other one, that it would also perhaps be something that others could gain some sort of personal insight from. So I hope to do more, and I thank you for watching.